It's Derby Day in Lake Macquarie this afternoon, and the battle between these traditional rivals could not come at a more important time. The Roosters sitting in ninth after a thumping win to kickstart their campaign last week against Adamstown, and they will want to continue that momentum. For Valentine, they've started the season with a solid batch of form, but those kind of performances won't cut it if finals are to be the goal. They remain winless after 2 straight draws and need maximum points this afternoon. And in round 5, while it couldn't be classed as a desperation derby, it's a crucial one nonetheless, with 9th up against 10th, and those standings speak for themselves. Neither side will want to drop points this afternoon. Here's the team news for both sides. For Valentine, after a week where they've been hit by a virus through the camp, they make 2 changes from the side who drew 1-1 with Maitland last week at Cook Square Park. Perry Budden will start in goal after Scott Carter dislocated his shoulder last weekend, while Josh Carroll replaces Aidan Gardner in the middle of the park. For Lake Macquarie, they make no changes, as you would expect. Coach Nick Webb has decided not to tinker with the side who thumped Adamstown last weekend 4-0. Tom Walker will lead the side from the middle of the park, and Webb has said he's been the Roosters' best so far this season, while new recruit from the Jets youth, Campbell Ross, has also caught the eye of his new boss. On the bench, Lakes have former Valentine midfielder Mark Finlayson and Valentine's Zach Snedden. He could make a return from injury off the bench. Perfect conditions here at Lake Macquarie this afternoon for each side. From the coaching department, Darren Sills, the Valentine mentor, returns to a ground he hasn't had much success at. He's won just once in 4 matches here. That's coaching with Valentine and also West Wallsend. And Nick Webb, in his first full season as NPL coach at the Roosters, he was a caretaker at Adamstown last year. And in his only match against the Phoenix, his side came back from 2-0 down to win 4-2. Referee for this afternoon is Jared Murphy. Turned 27 just 3 days ago. And he's officiating his 2nd NPL match. So it's Valentine, who will run from right to left of screen in their orange kit in this first half. Lakes in the bright yellow. And we are underway in the round 5 match of the round. It's the Lake Macquarie derby between the Roosters and Valentine Phoenix. And Chris Turner, you've been on the bench for many of these clashes, and just tell us what it's like.
Well, I'll tell you what it's like at the moment. This ground is in better shape than I've potentially ever seen it for this time of the year. It's just in great shape. They've had some irrigation put in, Bart, and it's just fantastic. But you know what? As we saw yesterday, the big news out of the football round was that Adamstown and Lambton Jaffers had a 1-1 draw. Now, Adamstown were beaten 4-0 by Lake Macquarie last year. So even though we're looking 2 teams towards the bottom of the table, we're in for an entertaining game of football this afternoon.
Yeah, a few interesting results yesterday, as you mentioned. Hamilton also going down to the Jets, and Edgeworth also got the win over Western. Reece Pettit gets a boot in there for the Phoenix. And then Campbell Ross with a touch. Good movement here early from the Roosters. Tell us tactically, CT, how these 2 sides lining up or shaping up this afternoon.
Well, just looking across the park, we've got Lakes with a... Come back to that.
Decent clearance from
We've got Lakes that are playing a very unusual 4-1-2-2.
Well, here's a chance for Aquino straight away, and Lake Macquarie strike. Well, how quickly have they scored Lake Macquarie? It was end to end. And just a couple of minutes in, and the home side are up.
We haven't even got the formations out, Bart, and they've done it particularly well in slotting that goal away. Look, this is a great start for the Roosters because they've got on with some goals last week, and speaking to Nick Webb before the game, he was wanting to get some more goals this week, and
it hasn't taken them long at all, has it? That's his first NPL goal, Morgan Aquino. And Lake Macquarie quickly into the lead. Last year they stunned Valentine 3-0. That was here in round 2 in a catch-up midweek match. And they've stunned them early here. So we see a free kick going the way of Lakes. We'll go back to the formation, CT, after all of that.
So a very unusual formation as in the setup. So 5-1-2-2 formation. Something you'd not normally see, but get back to that in a moment.
There's a ball up the line for Harry Lane.
The theory in behind that is your two left and right fullbacks going to be very much in an attacking mode. So their thoughts will be defend first, but, very much in an attacking space. Valentine running with a 4-2-3-1 formation. It looks like Joel Wood is at the point of that attack, and he's a big addition for them this year. But
a 5-1-2-2. That's a collector's item, isn't it? You don't hear that very often. See Josh Murray chipping that one up the line. And Wilson Edwards is charging after it. Late Macquarie just asleep at the wheel for a moment there. They may be made to pay yet. Joel Wood was sniffing around in the middle. Is it a formation that you've ever played, CT? As Nick Webb gives his players a bit of a rev up after their little snooze fest for a moment.
Look, that 5-1-2, effectively those three are your midfield. So the 1 and the 2, they're your midfield. So to answer it, call it how you like, but that's effectively what's going on. But they've got a
9 Kura with a bicycle, and what a way to equalise for Valentine almost immediately. Well, that's one to put on your highlights reel.
Well, there's a bicycle we don't see very often. There was one about 3 weeks ago at Broadmeadow Magic, and I haven't seen one in the top flight for as long as I can remember. But
I'll tell you what, I know a few people would have been maybe not happy that this match is the match of the round, being the Lakes Derby. Magic are playing Charlestown, big match at the top of the table. We have been entertained here, CT, early on.
Well, we're about 5 minutes in and we haven't got the lineups out, and we've got 2 goals. So it's a sensational start. I don't think the coaches are feeling that way. Nick Webb was absolutely livid by the marking there in the box.
Well, that's a couple of weeks. We saw a bicycle from Tyson Cummings from Broadmeadow Magic a couple of weeks ago, and Aaron 9 Kuru pulls one out of the bag there. Incredible. It's Reece Pettit. Just to thread it wide to Wilson Edwards. Back to Pettit, who went along the tarmac there. But a good reply from Valentine after going behind, and they really were just not awake early on to allow Aquino to slip through the lines. And then late Macquarie, unable to clear the ball after a pinball in the box.
One thing that I have noticed particularly early on, that the marking has been a little bit loose. And when I say that, I mean they're just too far away from each other early, and gaps are able to open up just in these types of areas.
Here's Aquino again. Could be another chance.
That's exactly what we're talking about.
May set up for late Macquarie again. That was Mitch Hunter looking to score his 3rd goal in a week.
Just on that point, Bart. So Mitch Hunter sitting there on the back stick on his own on the edge of the box. You just can't have that. And if you're going to let them do that, chances are he'll get a shot on and cause you troubles and likely score. So
why is the defence so loose, CTs? We may even get another chance here as Riley Russell gets a toe in and looks for Joel Wood. Why are they so loose?
I think the coaches, both of them, will sort that out very, very quickly. The reason is just because the game's just started. There's a lot of action going on, and they just haven't settled into any real sort of pattern yet. And you know what? When you've got 4 guys at the back, and then effectively 2v1 with Joel Wood, for example, for Lakes, makes it very difficult for which one's going to pick up, and sometimes they get a bit confused.
Here's Lane, a deflected cross, and well taken by Perry Budden, who's of course back in the starting lineup after that dislocated shoulder to Scott Carter last weekend. There may have been a handball there.
So just to pick up on that point, when I'm saying defenders may be confused, you'll see Joel Wood at the moment, they're shuffling him between him. Now Corey Fletcher's picking him up. But, he'll drift in between them on purpose, so he's got to make them talk and communicate on who's going to actually have him. And that causes some problems. And you may see him swap between, they'll swap him over. At the moment, Corey Fletcher's got him wrapped up. But that's what happens. Both coaches, as I said, will sort their defences up sort them out really, really quickly. And in plays like this, it's not uncommon for the ball to be floated in, and then you drift away from your defender. So that's something that you really need to be very conscious of.
There's a free kick in decent position for Valentine. Reese Pettit. He doesn't score many goals. He was almost on the end of that, and here's this open space we've been talking about. Tom Spare. There's infield to Sam Walker.
It's a wonderful ball from Walker.
Spare is looking for Shikawa in the middle. But Shinji Shozu, the Phoenix's Valentine import, is there to clear the danger for Valentine. It's really surprising, CT, because Valentine's defence has been superb this season. They've conceded 5 goals. Only Charlestown with 4 have conceded less this year. And I know Valentine have played a game less than them, but still decent. Here is Shikawa into the middle. Sam Walker. Well, if it wasn't for Reese Pettit, there may have been some work to do for Perry Budden. They are going to scramble the ball away.
Well, that turn from Shikawa, and then the control he put, that first touch in the direction he wanted to go, and then unselfishly played in the ball. If he does more of that today, he could be key for Lake Macquarie.
Here is Harry Lane. Back to Cameron Holzheimer. And now Corey Fletcher. So those two, they've got a big job this afternoon with Joel Wood up top. And as you were saying, CT, that's where communication is key, because if he slips in between them, one of them has to know who is going to pick him up. Here is Wood.
That's exactly right. And even then, he was just he had a little bit of room, and he's lost his marker.
Here he is again. We've mentioned how quick he is previously in the season. Wilson Edwards tried to slip it through for 9 Kuru. And now Lakes break free again. Spare with space aplenty down that left flank. Campbell Ross finds Sam Walker, and then Reese Pettit rolls one up the line to Josh Carroll, but it has crossed the touchline. Any reason here, CT? So Josh Carroll has been brought into this lineup for Valentine in place of Aiden Gardner. Now, Aiden Gardner more of a ball player, as we know. Is there a reason why Darren Sills may have done that? He said he was just sort of rotating the squad. Is there a tactical reason why Josh Carroll has been brought in, plays a little bit more over on the flank?
I'm not sure. I mean, as far as what Silsy's thinking there, I couldn't really say, but I can say when you're coaching a team, you get that close to knowing what combination's going to work against different teams, and there must be something.
Here's Sam Walker with an early chance, and he's just put it over the bar. And that would have been the third of the game.
Yes. Well, but there's something in there that for Darren Sills to make that change, and whatever it is, he's that in tune with his squad, and he'll understand what Lake Macquarie's strengths are, and he's made a change for that reason. What it is exactly, couldn't tell you.
Well, to me, it looks as though Wilson Edwards, who would normally play on the flank, is now playing in that role where Aiden Gardner would be stationed in the middle of the park, and Carroll's out on the right flank. So, interesting move from Sills, as I said. Will it pay off? We'll find out. And we'll bring you scores of the other match throughout the afternoon. Magic up against Charlestown. It's a big clash, especially for Broadmeadow, who have had a poor run of form of late. But here it's 1-1. We've had a cracking start to this contest, the Lake Macquarie derby. Campbell Ross looks for a Keno. Spins away from Reese Pettit and then slides one through for Shikawa, but Perry Budden is quickly off his line, and he had to be there.
The news out of Broadmeadow Magic is that it's been all Charlestown, and John Majerowski has scored against the run of play. So that makes Broadmeadow Magic 1, Charlestown 0.
So Charlestown are going to have to come from behind. They haven't had to do that very often this year. Spare the track back. I think if statistics are correct, I don't know if they have had to come from behind at all this year, Charlestown. So fascinating to see how they react in that one at Magic Park. Here is Fletcher. Just looking over the top for Shikawa, former Magic man himself. Now Harry Lane into the middle for Sam Walker. On the turn, Walker. Couldn't find his range. You feel both sides just settling down a little bit?
Yeah, they certainly are. They've just started off in a flurry. We've had those couple of goals, and now the game's just going to settle in. You know, you'd want the next goal naturally, but it will give a good psychological boost if you do get it.
Sam Walker. Now Harry Lane. Chikalway. Just couldn't turn and flick it round on goal.
That's the turn I was talking about from Chikalway before. That was very, very effective. That one got away from him, but it looks like he's got a bit of a mindset to get inside, get past his defender and get the ball played in the box if he can't get a shot on himself.
He scored his first goal for Lakes last weekend in the demolition at Adamstown Oval. And you can just see that confidence now for Lake Macquarie as Pettit just deals with that ball over the top. They scored just one goal in their opening 3 matches. They've now scored 5 in the last 2. So it very much is a confidence thing, isn't it, goal scoring? We saw that with the Jets last night. Hadn't scored in 2 matches, and bang, they put in 8. I know that also was down to the Mariners being very much open for business, but you get the gist of what I'm saying, don't you?
Yeah, that's right. You know, you get used to scoring. There's no doubt about it. And you get used to not scoring as well. So, you know, you want to take that first one and enjoy them when they're on. Now we see Tom Walker sitting next to Joel Wood. And interesting with him that he's playing a central role at the back now. Traditionally, he's always played in the middle of the park or up front or high, wide, right or left because he can use both feet. So,
Nick Webb said he's been Valentine's best this season. Really impressive, Tom Walker.
Lake Macquarie, yeah.
Lake Macquarie's best.
Yeah, but shift to the back. I mean, he's the sort of player that can play anywhere. And I've known Tom and brothers out there, Sam and the rest of his family for quite a while now, and knew them from their days at Kempsey. When they were living in Kempsey, the boys, his parents still are. But, you know, he's always been an attacking player. He might put it down to a bit of age, but I don't think he's still not very old. But he certainly looks very comfortable in the back, and he'll keep a very close eye on Joel Wood. And Tom Walker is not a slow player either. So, you know, that he'll be feeling pretty comfortable about that.
I think credit has to go to Sam Walker as well as Corey Fletcher. That one's well over the goal line. Just credit goes to Sam Walker for sticking by Lake Macquarie through the years where they weren't in the NPL. That takes some heart to be able to say, I know that other clubs are willing to give me a contract to play in the NPL, but he was happy to stick by Lakes, stay with them in the new FM, come back to the NPL with them.
Yeah, and his family as well. You know, there's Ben and there's Tom, of course, went through that, and so you know, like the whole family had been involved in that, and Daniel as well. Interesting information about the brothers, and there's another one, Chris. They've all got different colour hair. We nicknamed them red, black, blue, and brown, and white. I think that's them all covered off.
Lucky there's not another one then.
But if you knew their family where they've come from, it doesn't surprise that they do, because they're very, very loyal people. They're country people, and they will go thick and thin, and that's just who they are and what they do. And I think, as you say, it is a credit to them, and they've really been a big part of bringing this club back into this division.
It's Perry Budden. You saw a big puff of dirt there. Don't know if you walked over that section on your pitch inspection, CT, before the game. It's Walker with a nod on to Mitch Hunter. Look to continue his good form with 2 goals last week. And that one will be collected by Perry Budden. He's already equalled his record from last year, Mitch Hunter. 2 goals last year, 2 this year. Here's Holtzheimer. Neat from Tom Walker. Flicking it up and put it on time for Fletcher. Riley Hill launching one up the ground. Now turn from Sparray again. He's being afforded some room down that left edge, Tom Sparray. Reece Pettit just got an important boot in there. Now Shozu quickly back to Pettit as Valentine looked to counter-attack. Corey Fletcher stops that one in its tracks immediately. Why is Tom Sparrow getting so much space down the left?
Yeah, I think it's just a positional thing, and you've got to shift and adjust to your attack. So you'll often hear people say you need to shuffle, and if that's the case, they need to do it a little bit better than what they're currently doing right now.
9 Kuru, the Phoenix goal scorer, and he almost teed up Joel Wood, the leading goal scorer for Valentine this year. Here's Pettit. Campbell Ross is there in the middle of the park. He distributes wide to Fletcher. Gave him a bit of work to do. The youngster back to Fletcher. Did well. Now Aquino. Walker. Almost got the ball wide to Harry Lane, who's really pushing up, as you mentioned, CT, with that formation, that 5-1-2-2. Lane now to Shikawa. Across the face, Aquino. Now to Hunter. Looking for his third in a week, and he took a deflection. Will be a Lakes corner. Sparray, not one of his best corners, but making an opportunity on the second ball. Rolls it in towards Aquino. Sits up for Holtzheimer, who was bumped down. Is that a good decision, CT?
Yeah, that's fine. No issue there whatsoever. What it is an issue is you've got to get the ball in above the first defender, and he had 2 attempts at it. So he'll be looking to improve on that one.
Sparray again. Aquino. Josh Carroll was just outwitted there by Harry Lane, but touch was too heavy.
So Scott Carter replaced by Budden. A loss for Valentine losing Carter. However, Budden seems to be holding his own at the moment.
He was great last year when he had to fill in for Carter, and the year before. It's a famous story, and Perry Budden is able to just keep that one inside the line. Matt Paul. Come back to that in just a sec. And a couple of years ago at Darling Street in a 2-2 draw with Olympic, he was knocked out, Perry Budden, and saved a penalty while he was still a bit groggy from memory. And he was taken off to hospital after the game. It's Matt Paul to Carroll. Now Walker. Now Mitch Hunter. Look at this left side again for Lake Macquarie. Hunter and then Sparray further left. He's got Aquino there too. Aquino just decides he'll take on the strike. And again, it's Reece Pettit doing a mountain of work.
So you'll notice the ball was over on the near side of the ground, or the camera side of the ground, and players get drawn into that. And that's typically what happens when you break quick and you've got some awareness that Lake Macquarie have done by holding some players out there. The quick switches on, and it appears, which they did, have a lot of room, particularly on such a large park.
Sam Walker. Now Shikawa. Takes it on from distance. Holtzheimer again off Pettit. Aquino for his second, and he just has pushed it wide. It's taken a deflection off a Phoenix player. I think that's a discussion just for a moment. I wanted to touch on this ground in terms of its size. compared to the rest of the competition. As you mentioned, it is one of the bigger grounds. So here's Harry Lane. Adamstown and Magic were his clubs last season. And that was an important head away from Murray, because approaching at the back post was Tom Walker. Will be another corner though. Would this be the biggest ground in the NPL, or
I was just trying to think, probably as you were. Cook Square is another large park if you want it to be. It may have brought in.
Now the reason you say that is, of course, a couple of years ago, Maitland brought in the Lions, semi-final against Edgeworth. Here is Sparray getting up and under. Holtzheimer, good purchase on the header.
Well, just on that point, Bart, there is nothing to stop you from doing that, and it's all perfectly within the rules. And you know what? You give yourself every leverage that you can, and maybe if you've got a couple of little knocks and bumps, or a couple of older legs that need a bit of a rest, but you can't give them one. It's a tactic that some clubs, from time to time have employed or deployed, I should say, and they do that to give them an advantage. And as I said, it's well within the rules.
Maybe a little heavy for 9 Kuru. Corey Fletcher, that's a nice turn.
He's a solid player, Corey Fletcher.
They've given the ball away here, Lakes. Tom Walker ensures it isn't costly. Here's Christian Kershaw. I'll be interested to know what your thoughts are on the young American who's now in the Phoenix lineup. Very impressive he was in their round 3 match with Olympic. There's a lot of work in the middle of the park that's goes very much unnoticed. Here's Shozu. Just trot on the ball for a moment. Now Matt Paul. Joel Wood. Sees the run of Paul. Takes on a keynote as Russell. And Jared Murphy will pay the free kick.
Interesting to see Zach Snedden on the bench today.
Yeah, back from that hamstring injury, which he suffered in round 1. It was about 15 minutes into the season. His first round match against the Jets youth.
It's one of those injuries that you just don't want to come back too early, and the temptation is to do that. Because you think it's right, often speaking from experience, and then pop.
Now I know Zach Snedden is this one turned over to Shikawa, and now Sam Walker flooding down the middle of the park. Walker looks to see Budden off his line. He was just a touch off his line, Perry Budden, but he was able to recover. He's a smart footballer, isn't he?
To be honest, when he shaped up for that, I thought not from there, even though Budden was slightly off his line, but if he had to put it anywhere, it was exactly where he did, and he had to earn it, Budden, in the end. It's a great strike.
I just think if he had to hit it harder and accurately, Budden was in a bit of trouble. Here's Harry Lane. Shows it at the back post. Got a bit of a bump from Tom Walker. Slow to his feet. Perry Budden will just launch this one. There's a bit of confusion between Sparray and Campbell Ross, who not normally centre halves, because the usual centre halves had pushed forward. Russell. And now Aquino lays it off to Harry Lane, and then Hunter leaves it behind him. Walker. Here's Sam Walker again. He gives away the free kick, the Roosters skipper.
Like a bit of Kempsey carnage, that tackle. Learnt that one out in the sticks.
Don't say it that often from him. He's really dropping back, isn't he, Sam Walker? Here's 9 Kuru. Joel Wood. I'm interested to know, is Sam Walker playing in the front two of that 5-1-2-2?
No, it appears not.
Which is interesting, because normally you'd expect him to be in that area of the pitch, but I like him in the middle of the park because his distribution
Oh,
his
absolutely.
guile.
Yeah, no problem there whatsoever. Or, sitting in behind the front two. I mean, I know we were talking about a 5-1-2-2, but they looked, when they were set in their defensive pattern, they looked a 5-3-3.
Here's Sam Walker
Sorry,
again.
5-3-2.
Sees the run. Yeah, sorry, CT. Sees the run of Sparray. But I know Sam Walker, as he's getting older, he's going to slow down naturally. The idea of having, the speed of Shikawa and Aquino up front really works, and his distribution has been great so far, Sam Walker.
Yeah, well, let's not forget he's still young. He's probably, I don't know, I'm going to guess 24 or something like that, maybe. He's in his prime. He's absolutely firing right now. I think where he's playing today in the middle of the park is exactly where he's going to add some value.
I'm just saying, as he does get older, though, I think that's a great spot for him. We're not wishing retirement on him anytime soon.
You ask any retired footballer, they were probably a striker at one point, then a midfielder, and then a defender. And
then a right back. Right backs.
And then they reinvent the sweeper role before they have the odd stint in goals when they're injured. That's kind of how it pans out.
So Wilson Edwards, and then to Wood, and now Matt Paul. Just dinks one over the top. Joel Wood had the height to get above Fletcher and shields him. 9 Kuru was well marked by Harry Lane. Should say it was Josh Carroll in the middle there for Valentine.
Great to see Matty Paul back into the Valentine lineup.
Have we got some sort of telepathy going, CT? Because Aquino, now Shikawa. Here's a chance to make it 2-1. Paul Shikawa scores for the second week in a row for Lake Macquarie, and they lead by 2-1.
Well, that one's not against the run of play. I mean, they've been threatening Lakes for about the last 10 minutes, and they've been opening them up, particularly on that left-hand side, and a good finish by Shikawa.
Important goal to get Lakes back in front, and to be honest, I'd say they deserve it. 2-1 lead. They've created the better of the chances so far.
Yeah, Nick Webb will be happy with that. We're speaking about the defence before and how they were just looking a little bit loose, but you can see 5 at the back. We've got the one holder and then a 2-2. So, that's how they're shaping up. In reality, they need to adjust to how Valentine are attacking, and I think they're doing that particularly well.
Now, Reece Pettit. Now, I was talking about telepathy before, CT. I was just about to say, how important is it for Valentine that Matt Paul is now back in this line? Of course, he wasn't named in their PPS at the start of the year. He wasn't going to play for them because he was going to do triathlons. Instead, he's back. We'll stick that on the back burner for the moment because Harry Lane is again finding space down the right, and his ball just a bit too heavy for Sam Walker. There's Walker and Lane nipping it again. Still with Harry Lane. Gets it on the left boot. And Valentine will get themselves out of danger momentarily. Back to Matt Paul. Middle of the park, as I mentioned, he was going to do triathlons. He's decided to come back with the injury problems Valentine have had in the pre-season. He's so much a cog in that midfield, a crucial one at that.
The thing about Matt Paul is, apart from his ability, and he's got really good close ball control, his distribution's really good, and above all of that, his work rate is extremely high, probably in the top 2, 3 or 4 in the competition. So to have him in the middle of the park, he will just go for you the whole game, and he's an asset to them because he's pretty much one of those players typically called box to box, but by that he's in the game all of the time, defence and attack, and that's why you love to have players like him in your group.
And box to box because he is so fit to get up and down the ground. Here's Sparrow. It could be 3 before half time, and Perry Budden ensures it isn't. If it wasn't for him, it could be 3 or 4. Lake Macquarie just creating chances at will at the moment. The distribution is second to none this afternoon, the Roosters. That score at Magic is 1-0 to Broadmeadow over Charlestown. Charlestown looking to make it 5 wins in a row. Valentine, they're looking to win their first match of the season. Lake Macquarie to make it 2 from 2. 2 from their last 2, I should say. Edwards sees the run of 9 Kuru. Tom Walker. Reese Pettit. I know they've conceded twice, but he's been a rock at the back. Here's Russell. Now Matt Paul. And I've said in the air, Reese Pettit's been a rock, but they've conceded twice. Where does the blame lie in those 2 goals they have conceded? In between the lines?
Having spent some years here at Lake Macquarie, one thing I do know when you travel away and you come back to this ground is the amount of space that you can generate if you use it in the right way. And in the right way is that, you know, you can play in areas, but if you can use your width, and we speak about not only left to right, but from top to bottom, then you can create some opportunities. And Lake Macquarie are definitely doing that. We've seen the amount of attack they've had, particularly down the left-hand side, just by keeping people out there when the ball's on the near side of the ground, for example. That's where they've been successful in getting behind them. That was clearly handball. No complaints from Valentine.
So it has been fairly windy across the Hunter region today. The wind pretty much straight across the ground, so not really favouring anyone at the moment. Here's Fletcher looking for Sam Walker. Just didn't get the purchase, but Paul Shikawe did, and he's got a first half double. And Lakes are up by 2. They are streaking away with it before half time.
What a strike from Shikawe. That just came from nowhere, fell for him beautifully, and he's just drilled it in the top corner.
Well, but for the shank of Sam Walker, I don't think he would have got the opportunity. It was really Sam Walker just couldn't quite get his head around the ball and sat up nicely after a little deflection. And Paul Shikawe, I know he's been very much underutilised, and I will say it. And it's because Magic have got so many quality players. He's been very much underutilised with Broadmeadow Magic, and he's showing all his class this season. First team regular with Lake Macquarie. He scored 3 goals in the last 2 matches. Joel Wood tries to hold off Sam Walker. Gee, Lake Macquarie have impressed me in this first half, so I'm sure they have you as well. So we're into the last 10 of this opening half. 3 goals to the home side. And they lead the derby 3-1, and Valentine have got some work to do.
Yeah, they sure have. And you might have just picked up the rapping chicken in the background, which is a typical when they score a goal, as Magic do when they have their siren go off. A couple of variations. But, yeah, look, as I said before, they've used the space really well so far in the game, and they've opened Valentine up.
What is Valentine's problem?
The problem is, I think that they need to get a little bit closer to their wide guys. When Lake Macquarie are going to get some people into the game, like a left or a right fullback, they need to be aware of that when the ball's on the opposite side of the park. And then when it's in their back third, they need to get closer to their attacker. And sometimes 2 metres away is too far. It might be half a metre and you're rubbing shoulders, and don't give them an inch. But at the moment, they've just got a little bit too much room.
And Lake Macquarie are exploiting it once again. Harry Lane may take on the strike.
Seeing that example right there on the right-hand side, we had Sam Walker sitting vacant, and he could have just played him in that channel, and he's inside the box unmarked, and you can't do that. Darren Stills won't be happy with that.
Is it the largeness of the pitch that is just causing Valentine some problems in terms of their compactness?
Look, I don't think so. I mean, if it was the other way around, we'd be talking about Lake Macquarie.
Because look at that midfield space you can see there. Midfield have left a gaping hole, which just allows Lake Macquarie to get straight back on possession, which they almost did there, but they look long, and Josh Murray cuts it out and allows Josh Carroll some space down the left. They really need a goal here. Joel Wood on the turn, scrambled away by the Roosters.
Just prior to that attack from Valentine, Harry Lane was away on this right-hand side. If a ball was played in, he was completely unmarked. And they're the types of things that Darren Sills are going to be looking at and addressing at half-time when they go in.
Well, Nick Webb said Lake Macquarie were unlucky in round 2 against Western, where they lost 2-1. They were even unluckier the week after, as Nick Webb may have caught one there.
He was unlucky right then because he got one right in the breadbasket.
Jeepers. How does he sound after one of them?
Oh, they're great.
All right. So, yeah, they were unlucky in round 3 against Charleston. They lost 1-0 here and had a multitude of chances. And last week, of course, the win. They made all their chances count. And then here this afternoon, they've been brilliant. And Nick Webb's still been unlucky, copping a ball in the other regions. Here's Joel Wood getting dispossessed. And obviously the first couple of rounds, teams wouldn't probably have as close an eye on Joel Wood as you would expect. You know, he's been out of the competition. I know he's former Golden Boot. But when you're out of the competition, out of sight, out of mind just for a bit, now that he's scored 3 goals, I feel Lakes are going to be right on top of him, as they have been this afternoon. He's been allowed no space.
Yeah, I think if anyone's going to let him go from game 1 in the first minute, they'll be in for a shock. And players of his calibre, you can't let them go, otherwise you get punished.
Here's Shozu. Now Kershaw. Now Tom Sparre gives it away. 9 Kuru. Tom Walker. And now his brother Sam looks forward for Aquino. Reese Pettit. Riley Russell tracks that one down inside the line. Had to get that pass away quickly and did so. Better movement for the moment from Valentine. To be honest, CT, you wouldn't know this is 9th against 10th. Quality's been pretty good from my perspective, although you are the expert, so probably you're best to
Cool.
make the well.
Look, let's just put it simply. The pitch is in excellent condition. So if you're not going to play well on a pitch of this quality, you're not going to play well at all. And these two sides, despite where they're sitting on the ladder, they've both got some great footballers in it.
Here's Harry Lane. Just a touch heavy for Chicago.
Maybe a touch of adrenaline there for Harry. But what Lakes have done impressively so far, as we said before, is that they've just used the width better and exposed to some fairly average marking from Valentine.
Here's Walker. Pettit just bumped away Aquino. Went to ground, I'd say fairly softly. Good decision not to award the free kick. Harry Budden off the knee of Joel Wood. Now Holtzheimer. Reese Pettit, the Valentine skipper, to 9 Kuru. Some space for Edwards. And Riley Hill did well. Hasn't had too many saves to make. Former Adamstown keeper Riley Hill. And now Aquino. Now it just breaks down for Lake Macquarie. So the fatigue, you sense, just setting in here for the Roosters. A few stray passes. Score update from Magic Park. It is still 1-0 to Broadmeadow. Now Fletcher. Ross. Now Walker. Here's Aquino now. Still Aquino. He's given Sam Walker a bit of work to do there, and Perry Budden awake to the dangerous ball and was able to use the full extremities of the box. Here's Aquino. Just his strength again. Kershaw has had to give him a tug and give away the free kick. Morgan Aquino, he won the 2016 Under-19s Grand Final with Broadmeadow Magic.
We
were actually calling that game out, coached by Nick Webb.
You know, what I liked about his play just then is that he was actually holding the ball up. He's not in a hurry to turn and get past people all the time. The guys that can play with their back to ball, back to goal attackers are a very big asset, because it just means that you're going to be involved in the build-up, not just to finish off. And so that in his game. And back in 2016, when we saw him in that grand final, he caught our eye on that day because his all-round game was very strong.
Corey Fletcher dinks it over the top. Mitch Hunter, too powerful for Perry Budden. 4-1 to the Roosters before half-time.
Oh, that's just the half that Lake Macquarie have wanted. They just come out, they've dominated, and they've done everything possible and executed. Nick Wedd said before the game, he said, we've missed plenty of chances in weeks gone by, and he said, we want to keep on with a roll, and they've done exactly that, Bart.
And by watching this, you'd be very impressed with Lake Macquarie and how they are performing. The question is, are they being made look a lot better by an average Valentine? Is this a really good Lake Macquarie against an average Valentine, and this is the scoreline you get? Or do you think Lake Macquarie, when they come up against these Broadmeadow Magics and Hamilton Olympics in coming weeks, they really can do some damage?
You know, people have talked about teams like Edgeworth being underrated, Lake Macquarie have been underrated, and that when they've got their full team together, and they've got a couple of very handy inclusions in this side in key positions, and Webb has done well in putting players in good position, then all of a sudden, you know, they're looking quite dangerous. This ground does suit, and they're set up to play on a big ground, and it suited them.
Here's Harry Lane. Surely it couldn't be 5 before the break. Shakar away. Kershaw with the header away. Here's Joel Wood. Now Tom Walker. He's first to the ball at the moment, Lake Macquarie, all the time. There's another free kick. Now Darren Sills said last week the Phoenix trained really well before their match up with Maitland. This week they've been poor both days, and it is showing. They've brought that kind of attitude to the pitch this afternoon. As we tick down towards half-time. Jared Murphy just having a chat to Reece Pettit. He's done really well in this first half, I thought, in his second NPL match. Refereed the under-20s decider last year. That was filled with a lot of tension. You remember that one well, CT. Maitland getting up 1-0, parking the bus. A lot of late drama against Hamilton Olympic.
Do remember that well. It was a great game to call. Good to be at.
So Josh Murray spies Wilson Edwards, who is just offside. Sense that Darren Sills is probably going to have to make a change at half-time here. Maybe a couple to fire his side into action, and one of those could be Aidan Gardner. A creative midfielder. Just have not been able to create any chances, and Lake Macquarie are doing so at will. Here's Harry Lane.
Well, even if he doesn't make any physical changes to the lineup, he's certainly got some work to, got some things to fix up on the park, and one of them is that defence we're talking about.
Gee, that was fired out of a cannon by Mitch Hunter. He can hit the ball. That's almost gone into Lake Macquarie.
It's certainly on its way, that's for sure. Yeah, but Sills is going to have a serious conversation to a few of his players out there. I mean, you mentioned Kershaw before the bit earlier there, but
US midfielder.
The combination between him and Matt Paul, as in the work rate between them, I've been very impressed. The pair of them are both workers, you can see that. But Sills won't be happy with how easily Lake's getting in behind the back four.
And I know their back four's been fairly poor, but also they just haven't been able to get anything going in that front third with Joel Wood, Wilson Edwards, and Aaron Kuru as well.
Well, the problem is they just haven't had much ball in that area.
Here's Kershaw, wins the ball straight to Campbell Ross in the middle of the park. Doing pretty nicely, the youngster Campbell Ross. Walker got right underneath that one, and it's spun towards Spare. Jared Murphy have a look at his watch and will send the players to the sheds, and it has been a first half to remember for the Roosters. 4 goals to lead Valentine by 3 after 45 minutes. They scored really early through Morgan Aquino. Valentine replied through a spectacular bicycle from Aaron Kuru, but since then it was all the Roosters, with Paul Chikawe grabbing 2 and then Mitch Hunter making it 4 just before the break. So half-time here at Macquarie Field, and it is Lake Macquarie 4 leading Valentine Phoenix 1. CT, sum up that first half.
Look, 4-1 is the summary of that. How it pans out, look, in simple terms, Lake Macquarie have been able to effectively get in behind Valentine regularly and get play in their top third often. And when you're doing that, that means you're going to create opportunities and then converting them. And Nick Webb said before the game they've missed a lot of chances, prior to last week's four goals, and they wanted to roll on with finishing those chances, and they've done that today. I thought they looked a bit shaky early in the piece defensively, Lake Macquarie. That tightened up, and in fact, they haven't been threatened too much at all. So, you look, 4-1 at the moment, definitely a fair result.
Well, we will head to the break. I just heard a door get absolutely slammed below us, CT. I think Darren Sills will be tearing paint off the wall in there.
Yeah, I don't think you'd be, wanting to look sideways in the dressing room when you go in there, because he's going to have some things to say and he's going to have some fairly stern words, because the next half has got to be a lot different if they think they're coming back into this one.
Half-time here at Macquarie Field. We'll be back in 10. It's the home side up by 4 goals to 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Macquarie Field for the Round 5 National Premier League fixture. It's Macquarie City Roosters versus Valentine FC. Take this opportunity to thank our sponsors for 2018. Those being the major sponsors, 50s at the point. After the conclusion of first grade today, everyone is invited back to 50s for our after-match function. Understar Group, Belmont 16-footers, Metal Form Industries, Protect Newcastle, Billy's Lookout, Baker's Delight, Think Graphic Communications, Chincotta Discount Chemists, West Lakes Trophies, Framing and Engraving, Active Accounting Services, Avery Real Estate, Queen's Wharf Hotel, Commercial Windows. Also our clothing and shirt sponsors, Renaissance Sports Group.
Welcome back to Macquarie Field. We're just about to get underway in the second half of this round 5 fixture in the NPL Northern New South Wales. Valentine Phoenix They've got a bit of work to do in the second half, down 4-1 at half time. And they have made a change with Aidan Gardner coming onto the park. Josh Carroll has left the grounds, and Zach Snedden has also headed out. He's replaced the American Christian Kershaw in that defensive midfield role. He's rung the changes at halftime, Darren Sills. He's only got Luke Willard left on the bench. So he lakes from right to left of screen, looking to continue their goal-scoring touch. And two of the goal scorers to get us underway. Shikawa in 10 with a double in the first half goes to Aquino, who scored his first NPL goal. And an early second half touch to Tom Walker. Valentine back in possession with Riley Russell. Chris Turner, fewer Darren Sills. How do you go about rectifying this situation? First, they've got problems at the back. Second, they can't create any chances. There's a few issues there.
Well, he's probably let some steam out at half time. But how do you rectify it? Look, the first thing they've got to do is understand how they're going to stop Lakes from getting in behind them. And how you do that is you've got to see your runners earlier and you've got to go with them. So it's been a bit too passive, the defensive lineup, and it's not just the back line we're talking about the midfield, and it starts from up front, shutting them down. So on a big park like this, go with your runners, make sure no one's got any space, and then when Lake Macquarie have got the ball, everyone's marked up, so make it very, very difficult for them to get a pass away.
Let's talk about these changes after Tom Walker's free kick. Should be gobbled up by Perry Budden. So Zach Snedden comes into that defensive midfield role, replacing Christian Kershaw. And on the right edge, Aidan Gardner comes on for Josh Carroll. What impact will those changes have on the second half?
Well, he's making clear intention, Sills, that he's not happy, and he's going to mix it up. He has to mix it up because they're 4-1 behind. What impact? Well, we'll have a look at that. I think players like Matt Paul just missed that tackle.
It's given away, and Aquino has Shikawa. Does he spot him? He will win the ball back. Paul Shikawa for a hat-trick. He's gone down clutching at a knee. This does not look good for Paul Shikawa. This would be terrible if he has to leave the park. It's a left knee, and it was so innocuous. You never like it when it's that innocuous, but he's back up. Looks to be nothing wrong, CT. Was worried about nothing.
I'm not sure about that. He's moving a little bit gingerly. One of those ones that he just runs off. Smudge would give a better analysis of that.
Here is Reece Pettit putting it over for a Lakes corner. $2 canteen food, CT. You're going to head over there? Maybe at full time.
Maybe.
Might be free then. Here's Harry Lane looking for Mitch Hunter, who's already scored ahead of this afternoon. Fletcher, Tom Walker, and there's Aquino. Just couldn't direct it on goal. Still Valentine inviting pressure.
Great ball from into the box from Tom Walker. Delivered it perfectly. Great location.
Shows that Joel Wood, a little bump from behind. He didn't appeal for the free kick. How compact is the space there? Zach Snedden winning the free kick, got in a tangle with Aquino. Sees the run of Russell. And 9 Kuru just in front of the last defender. So a win for Lake Macquarie this afternoon pushes them up to within 2 points of the top 4. If Magic's result stays the same, if Magic do not get the victory, then it will be a point, which separates them from the top 4. Here's Campbell Ross over the top for Aquino again. Tried to turn inside from Murray. The free kick goes away the Phoenix. Just a little stop-start to begin the second half. With Lake Macquarie's strong form here. Here's Aiden Gardner. Maybe a slight glimmer of hope for Valentine. Fletcher with the header away. Shozu, Nine Kuru. Couldn't get anywhere near the ball. With Lake Macquarie's good form, it looks as though this statistic that the home side has won 5 of the last 6 of the matches between these two. Looks as though that will continue to 6 of 7 if the Roosters can continue their first half form. Here's Walker. Holtzheimer to Fletcher. Stepped inside and easily got away from Gardner and then chips it up and over the top for Mitch Hunter to take on Reece Pettit. Touch a little too heavy. Shozu, just so he done to hit that. Reece Pettit did well to get himself out of a sticky situation. Nine Kuru. There was that space over to the left that Nine Kuru was just facing away from. Now there's some open pastures on the right for Aiden Gardner. Matt Paul. Again, he really got himself caught in the corner there. Matt Paul, as did Aiden Gardner before him. And now Lake Macquarie will easily come away with it from their own defensive third.
And you can see that's really key, but you see Matt Paul on the ball there. He had two Lake Macquarie's defending, then they had Corey Fletcher acting as like a cover that ended up picking it up, even though Matt Paul got the cross away. And that's the sort of defending that Lake Macquarie have been putting into play today, and that's a big reason why they're in front.
You sense if Valentine can just snatch a goal. Here's some pressure from Edwards and Joel Wood, and it forces the clearance from Riley Hill to just slice over the sideline. He hasn't really been put under pressure, too much pressure this afternoon, Riley Hill. Do you feel if Valentine can grab one, it could just open the floodgates? The question is, they've got to get one.
It's a big ask to come back from here at this stage of the game. It can happen. Certainly have seen it over the years, but it doesn't look like a whole lot has changed.
Here's Shikawa. And now Murray to win the ball back. Shikawa, that was just a little slow from Lake Macquarie, and that's what they were doing better in the first half. There was still that space. There's Joel Wood. Thought it may have been sitting up for him, but Corey Fletcher with the roundhouse clearance.
Bit of frustration there from Shikawa. Getting a word from the referee.
Shozu between the lines for Wood, but there's just Roosters everywhere. Here's the attempted header from Edwards, and it just bounces off his shoulder.
Well, that's the first time I've actually seen Valentine get a free header or a free anything really in the box. And that's a credit to Lake Macquarie's defence, because they just haven't allowed them to get in there and do that.
They're just swarming Joel Wood then, won't they? The
Sure.
Roosters defence. And here is Joel Wood in a foot race with Corey Fletcher. Toes it back to Hill. His clearance, and that's the wind, the strength of the wind. It's about 30 kilometres an hour from the grandstand side, so straight across the ground. Maybe a touch, if anything, behind Valentine in the second half. A little bit of northerly to that westerly. And now it breaks for Lake Macquarie again. Shikawa. Zach's then got back. One possession for Valentine, and now there's some open space down the right side for Aiden Gardner. And the quality of his cross lets his side down there.
We're just starting to see Valentine get back into the game, and this would be a result, you know, for Darren Sills' injection at halftime, making a couple of changes and letting them know the importance of getting themselves back in the match.
No, we were talking about that five-man back line for Lake Macquarie, but we are noticing if the ball is won back quickly by Valentine and they transition quickly, there's some space where those left and right fullbacks are pushing up in behind them. Here's Gardner. Now Fletcher. Has crossed the line, so Valentine will get a throw in decent position. Is that where you see the opening for them, CT, down those flanks at all?
Yeah, look, I really do. Certainly if it doesn't go down there, by just having people in wider areas to open up some holes in the middle. That's definitely an opportunity for both teams, in fact, but for Valentine, yeah, to play a bit of Lake's game on themselves is to open them up and stretch them out.
Here's Harry Lane. His first real charge in the second half, and it ends in disappointment. Edwards, Paul. Again, Tom Walker just had too much energy. Nine Kuru to Wood. Josh Murray, that was a poor giveaway, but Aquino, fortuitously for Valentine, was just offside. Before this match, Lake Macquarie, they were ranked 10th out of 11 for goals scored per game. Well, that's quickly changed after this afternoon. They really have hit their stride. Now they really have to put the shutters on the Phoenix. Joel Wood looks for Gardner, 9 Kuru. He's gone straight through all of them. It's normally how my 10-pin bowling goes when you've got a pin on each side, CT. I normally just bowl it straight down the middle. Can't get one.
Is that called the 7-10 split?
I think that's right. Haven't gone bowling for a while though. Too much NPL to watch for that. Zach Snedden did well to keep his arm away from that one. Shozu. Reese Pettit. Chikawa just will not go away from it. Murray up the line. Mitch Hunter just thumped his boot through it. And Aquino just brought it down superbly and will win the corner after all of that. Macquarie heading down to take the corner kick. A couple of goals for him last season. Yet to open his account this year. He's a dynamic player, isn't he?
Yeah, he certainly is.
It's a well-hit corner. There's Reece Pettit again there to head away.
Certainly was a good corner, and those balls in a difficult and just a bit of outspin coming away from the goals to get something on.
Sam Walker sliding it through again. Perry Budden there. So Riley Russell, Joel Wood with the attempted flick on. Late Macquarie looking to build it up again here from the back line. Sparray to Ross, important interception from Wilson Edwards. But Holtheimer was awake. Sparray. Back to Holtheimer. Shaped away from Campbell Ross and went to Shikawa. Sam Walker, will this one stay inside the line? It should with the breeze, it does. And Sparray, in the end, he may have had the pace to beat Pettit, but Pettit just got his body in the perfect position to win the ball back. But still it breaks down for Valentine. Snedden, Shikawa and Snedden, and Aquino is offside. Good save from Perry Budden. Didn't know that he was called offside and got his body in the way well. The last time Valentine went winless through their opening 4 matches was back in 2016. They finished 8th a couple of years ago. So it doesn't bode well for them. As Shozu, that one just dribbles off his foot. Doesn't bode well for you if you don't start the season well. It's difficult to feature in late August and September in the playoffs.
You'd have to say that if Lake Macquarie continue like this throughout the season, they're going to put themselves in and around it. Where they'll be tested is if they get a few injuries and seeing how far they can go.
Sam Walker had his arm right up in the air and he said, put it on a dime, please. Tried to whip that one into the box. And now there is some midfield space for Wilson Edwards to take it forward. Wood, he's got Nine Kuru. He has to play Nine Kuru over on the left, who was free. I know it's easier from up here, CT, but gee, Aaron Nine Kuru. He has speed to burn, and he had open space, aplenty on the left. And now Sparray takes on Reece Pettit. And Snedden has handballed it on the ground.
Well, the thing for Joel Wood is he just didn't get half an opportunity to get a leg towards a delivery. So nothing he'd do. He knew he was there. He just couldn't get it away. Free kicks in a very interesting position for Lake Macquarie in that it's not one that you're going to score from. You wouldn't expect that Corey Fletcher's going to have a shot from here. You wouldn't expect so, but you certainly think that he's got to put it. He's going to be aiming just probably outside the edge of the 6-yard box and probably with some spin away from the goalkeeper, trying to pick out the head of one of his attackers.
Sam Walker is there, Reece Pettit. And it just beats all of them over the byline.
Yeah, he's overhit that one, and he's probably hit it a little deeper than he would have wanted to, Corey Fletcher. But he's had a solid game too, by the way. He's been a player for Lake Macquarie that I think that has done particularly well. this afternoon, and he's very strong. He has a tendency to be known as a very, very strong tackler.
Here's Edwards through for 9, Kuru. Who's offside. Groans from the Phoenix faithful. Breaks down for them again. Here's Walker. Of course, we've got to talk man of the match, CT, and Harry Snitzel's player of the day. I know it's a fair while off yet as Perry Budden just gets that one under his control just inside the box. Who have you been impressed with most this afternoon? There's been some great players from both sides.
Well, there has been, and there's a long way to go, but I'll tell you one that's impressed me is Tom Walker. And Tom, I've known Tom for a long, long time, but I've never really viewed him as a central defender, and he's done a terrific job in there today. A really good job. And been very impressed with his game from there, because his ability to score goals is, he's proven, and he does score goals for you. But just playing this back line that's been very strong for Lake Macquarie, I've been very impressed with him so far.
Yeah, he has. He's been great, Tom Walker. We just saw there a free kick going the way of Valentine. Zach Steddon and Paul Shikawa coming together again. I don't think it's very friendly between those two at the moment. Watch this space. He's gone in on Steddon a couple of times as Paul Shikawa, the 2-goal hero at the moment for Lake Macquarie. Shikawa. This time he's got Pettits coming from behind. Just a bit stop-start at the moment, isn't it?
We were just talking about Smudge a little while ago at half-time. Some of the Lake Macquarie faithful are asking, where is Smudge? We banter about the annual leave, although there's no jobs here. So we don't have annual leave. But if there was, he would have used it all, if I'm being reminded.
Definitely. He's, what's he got? He's got a dinner party tonight or something.
Got a dinner on, yeah. It's an early dinner. Well, we've got a substitution. Maybe we could crash that party on the way home, but
and Paul Shikawa has been brought off. This is a really intelligent substitution from Nick Webb. It's just getting a little testy between him and Zach Snedden. That's really smart. And the name that is a favourite for all commentators, Manoli Papasporopoulos, is out there. And here is Budden. May have punched Mitch Hunter in the head there. He is just in a little bit of strife with Mitch Hunter. It's Riley Russell. Looks to move it forward.
Can you just roll off that substitution again, please, Bart?
Manoli Papasporopoulos. His brother, Nico, actually plays for Hamilton Missouri. I've had some prior practice with the name with their FFA Cup match a few weeks ago now, when they beat Jesmond. And they won again on Wednesday night. Hamilton Missouri is 9 Kuru. This time he is onside. They really need a goal here. If there any hope. Matt Paul dinks it towards Wood. On the turn. Great save from Hill. Appeals for handball from the Phoenix. Waved away by Jared Murphy.
And Hamilton Missouri won again yesterday, although depleted in numbers.
So this is in the Zone League 1, isn't it?
That's correct.
Yeah, so they're doing well in the FFA Cup, and hopefully we might get an opportunity to watch them in action in round 5. So watch this space.
I hope so.
Cup. Round 4, I should say, round 4.
Their following is just brilliant. We love it. And I caught up with Mick Sneesby at the Arnett's program at Edgeworth this morning, and he's giving me an update. He got a start.
Here is Shozu. Yeah, the fans, the colour, the atmosphere they bring.
That's brilliant. It makes you want to jump on board.
I know some of the stuff they say is probably not for a a PG audience, but brings some entertainment and colour and action to the ground, which is what we love. As we see Valentine about to make their final substitution, Luke Willard is going to go on, and it will be Shinji Shozu who will come off. Who hasn't had his best match this afternoon. Played professional football in the Philippines with Agila ASA before coming to the Phoenix. Corey Fletcher looking for the redhead. And Sam Walker. There's his brother Tom, and now Lane. Steady looking long, he goes short to Walker. Sleight of foot there from Lane. Here's Tom Walker, Aquino. Look at the confidence from late Macquarie now. Campbell Ross, the header away, but there's no one up top for Valentine. Do you throw numbers forward here, CT, with the scoreline 4-1 for Valentine? Or are you trying to reduce the damage now at this point in time?
At this point in time, you want to score, so I'd be definitely out in the attack. Normally, you'd say you leave your defence a bit skinnier, but they're already skinny.
Just offside is Papasporopoulos.
But I think, an attacking mindset right now is where you want to be, and you can see they've stepped it up from last sort of 10 minutes ago from where it was when they first came out. And definitely an improvement on the first half.
But it'll be little consolation for Darren Sills because they're down by 4-1. And he'll say they should have been better in the first half, which I 100% agree. Score update from Magic Park.
I believe it's still 1-0 Magic, but I haven't had anything further at this point.
Yeah, we'll get the latest on that one. Zach Snedden. Almost was a fortuitous deflection towards Aidan Gardner. Just the turn from Papasporopoulos. Goes back to Spare. Just caught it behind him. Edwards. Now Tom Walker. Pinball around for a moment there. Papasporopoulos now. Just holding Riley Russell at arm's length. Now Lane to Walker. Still no goals yet in the second half. Late Macquarie led it 4-1 at the break. Shikawa with a couple, Mitch Hunter with one, Morgan Aquino with his first NPL goal, and Aaron Nine-Kuru with the goal for the Phoenix. And Hunter, he went down in a screaming heap. Wilson Edwards receives a yellow card, maybe for a raised elbow there. We need a super close-up. It's difficult to tell from this.
He did go down in a screaming heap, but I don't think there's too much wrong with him, to be honest.
That were my first thoughts, CT. The only thing I can think would have been the issue is a raised elbow from Edwards.
Possibly, but either way, what he has done is he got his team a free kick in a particularly good spot.
Potentially.
This is the range that Tom Walker or Sam Walker would fancy themselves in the Battle of the Brothers. Sees number 11 come away with it. Blue is in the redhead.
We'll see if he can bend this one into the top corner. It may have even been a stamp there, CT. That's what Oldtimer was saying, but doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. The free kick has been given, and Sam Walker is standing over it, and he's going to look to score his first goal of the afternoon. It's rare that late Macquarie score 4 and Sam Walker's not on the board.
The game's not over yet, and he's on the ball in an ideal position here, and we're sizing this one up.
Broke his duck last week.
Penalty last week.
Yeah, with a penalty.
Right here.
Here it is. Walker! It's off the post, and it's in. It took a while, but Sam Walker opens his account this afternoon.
Well, the game's not over for him to score, but I'd say the game is over for Valentine. That was a terrific strike, and one that he'd picked his spot. Wasn't sure if he was going to go high, but he saw a spot around that wall and bent it around there, and the fact that it's taken the inside of the post shows the accuracy of that strike.
And it's fabulous number 5 for the Roosters. And the Cock-a-doodle-doo is back out in force again.
The goal for Macquarie stood by number 11, Sam Walker. Taking the score away, Macquarie City Roosters.
And Valentine now, it's all for pride.
Well, Nick Webb will be ecstatic here. This is 9 goals in 2 games. And, you know, we spoke about Lake Macquarie being one of the teams in the bottom of the league. As I said before, you know, if they continue on with this sort of form throughout the rest of the year, who knows where they're going to finish up.
So we're now just inside a quarter of an hour to go. And it is just about party time for Lake Macquarie. 4 goals last week, as you mentioned, CT, 5 this week. And I think the only disappointing part of it for Nick Webb is that they've got the bye next week. Here's Papasporopoulos. Now, this could get worse now that they've scored the 5th and there's still about 15 to go.
Well, you're right. You know, they don't want to buy at this point in the season because they're scoring goals and they want to continue on with it.
So Tom Sparray leaves the park and Joe Kasich comes on. Was at Lakes last year, Joe. He's been with Charlestown as well previously in the NPL. In the younger age groups.
The replacement for Lake Macquarie, leaving the field at number 7, Thomas Sparray.
So more of a defensive move there from memory. Joe, more defensive-minded than the attacking sense. Snedden. Now Edwards. Here's Joel Wood. He'll look to get a late consolation, Joel Wood. And it's just not going right for Valentine this afternoon. That pretty much sums up their afternoon.
Yeah, it does. And Joel Wood will not be happy with the amount of service he's got because he's got virtually none. This one's from Gary Rowe. It's been a while since we've had a joke.
Bring back the jokes, I say.
Why don't crabs give it to charity? Because they're shellfish.
I think the crowd's giving you a standing ovation for that one, CT.
Well, it's Gary Rowe. Thanks, Rowie.
Oh, here we go. I'm trying to think what's worse, that joke or Valentine's performance this afternoon. Is that a bit harsh?
Joke.
It has been. It's been inept, I'll be honest, as Kasich just treads on the ball and got himself into a bit of a pickle there. Walker with the attempted flick on Snedden. Now Murray. And now Willard. We know he's got some toe. Can he tee up Wood? And no, he can't. Tom Walker read it well. Here's Harry Lane. And now Aquino. Threaded in down the right. Looks up and sees Walker, but just overhits it. It's Sam Walker. The wind blowing. It should... Oh, he is able to track it down inside the line.
He's done well there. And just the composure after a sprint, not to do anything silly with the cross because he didn't have people in the box. Just roll it back up and set up.
Lane may fall here. Papasporopoulos, but Edwards couldn't find the quality on the pass, but he was given a tug.
What's going to be concerning here, or what is concerning for Darren Sills, is the amount of times that Lake Macquarie have got in behind Valentine. And it's happening more so now than even in the first 15, 20 minutes when we were talking about it then.
And also just the midfield. Like we were saying in the first half, CT, that Valentine's midfield, the space between the midfield and the front three has been quite large, or the front four, I should say, has been quite large, the three and the one up top. And it's been like that way since. It hasn't been rectified, and that's got to be a concern as well.
Yeah, I think any time where you've got bigger, gaps in the lines is what you're talking about. There's the lines between your strikers and your midfielders in particular when you're in the attacking zones. That's alarming because it means that you're just constantly on the back foot and don't get set up and you don't have the ability to rebound off your midfielders or strikers to create more opportunities. That's what's happening to Valentine at the moment.
So if you have just joined us, just to find out what's happened this afternoon, Lake Macquarie, they scored early through Morgan Aquino. Valentine equalised straight away. You thought it may have been a sign of things to come after the Lake Macquarie goal early on. And then Valentine equalised, you thought, all right, they're here to play. And then Valentine have piled on Valentine have had the pain piled on after that by Lake Macquarie. 4 unanswered goals to make it 5-1. Here's Snedden. He looks up and sees Joel Wood and just overhits the ball. They've improved progressively by a margin of 2 goals every match today, Lake Macquarie. They went down 2-1 in the 18s. Scored 1 goal. They won 3-0 in the 20s and now 5-1 in the first grade. Here's Snedden. Now Aidan Gardner just stepped straight into traffic there. It fell for Edwards.
Foul on Fletcher. He won't mind that.
Yeah, now we are inside the final 10. Man of the match. Player of the day. Player of the day. I tell you what, I don't know if you can go past the bicycle from Nyan Kuru, can you?
I don't think so. I think...
I know he's not really going to want to accept it this afternoon.
I think Harry Schnitzel, he'll be up for it.
He'll take it. It was a great goal, but just disappointing the performance from his side this afternoon. And for Lakes, Sam Walker, gee, I'm finding it tough to go past him for man of the match. I know you said Tom Walker's been good, but I've been really impressed by Sam Walker in the middle of the park. Here's Harry Lane, looking to add more pain for the Phoenix. And Mitch Hunter just couldn't wrap his boot around that one. You going to agree or are you going to disagree? I know there's only 2 of us, so it makes it a bit hard, doesn't it?
Look, no doubt, Sam's been
Oh, here's a keynote. He's picked the pocket of Reece Pettit, and Pettit makes up for his error momentarily. Frustration evident there from Pettit.
I like the work that Tom Walker has done purely for the fact that their back line has been really solid and he's led that. And not only that, personally, he hasn't done anything wrong all game.
Here is a Keno. Just offside again.
And also with that, their defence has been their foundation for their victory, I believe. Yeah, they've got in behind them well, but they've really stayed solid at the back. He's been a key to that and allowed their midfield in particular and their front guys to get in behind Valentine frequently throughout the game.
And do you think this is a blueprint that Nick Webb will take forward, the 5-1-2-2 or the 5-3-2? Taking it forward.
Well, it's worked today, and his team have responded to that. I mean, what it does do is it gets your back 5, if you like. It gets your left and right fullbacks into the game.
Oh, there's some neat skill from Nyan Kuru. Now Snedden, well, he's overhit that by a mile. Aidan Gardner will have to get on a motorbike to run that down.
And you can see as the Lakes are lined up right now, they've got pretty clearly a straight 4 at the back.
And defensively, they've been sound. You think of the goal they conceded was a pinball in the box. It's not down to formation. And a bicycle as well. Riley Russell, he couldn't control it, and Papasporopoulos couldn't do likewise. Here's Edwards. Powerful header from Holtzheimer, and it's Papasporopoulos again in on goal. He rounds Budden, looking for his first NPL goal. What a moment that would have been for the youngster.
Sam Walker standing on the edge of the box, absolutely unmarked, and he screaming at him to cut it back.
But it's his first NPL goal, CT. Surely, yeah. He's going to take the strike.
Don't hit it from there. If you do, make sure it goes on target because there's no one home.
You've got a Lake Macquarie legend in the middle, and you've got your first goal. Potentially, you've got an open goal, your first NPL goal, waiting there.
Cut it back to your captain.
He's
sure you get a start next week.
Sten, the turn away from Hunter. Gardner. Murray. So next week, Valentine doesn't get any easier for them. They'll face Lambton Jaffers at home at the CB complex. And Lake Macquarie, that's the frustrating thing for Nick Webb, is that they get the bye, they get the week off, just as they're about to enter a purple patch of form. Hopefully for them, they can continue it after a week off. And this afternoon will be their first back-to-back victories in the NPL since July last year. It's been a little while. Here's Harry Lane, Campbell Ross. It was a slow start to Lake Macquarie this year. 3 losses to start the year. They have now kicked into gear. They have won 2 from 2. Or they will when full time is called in this one. Aquino. Walker just lets it run past him. Still Joel Wood working hard to track across. It's been such a turnaround for Lake Macquarie with these Papasporopoulos. Could it be 6? Mitch Hunter looking for a second. He sees... Well, he's put it wide anyway, Morgan Aquino. A chance for a double this afternoon. Yeah, they've really turned around. We mentioned last week that 4 goals against Adamstown. But before that, they were winless in 7 NPL matches. So the confidence was lacking. I know there's been a big turnover from last year to this year.
Nick Webb said they've been creating opportunities, just haven't put them away. And right there, we've seen that opportunity. And we had one before that was pushed wide, keeper beaten. I mean, they're creating opportunities, and that's the pleasing thing. If you're a coach, you're okay with that. The conversion was what's important, and that's what he's excited about, is that they're actually putting some away. Opportunities like the last 2 we see, it goes from 5 to 7, and it tells a real big different picture. And it could easily be that.
And they've left that first round loss well in the past. Here's Joel Wood for a consolation. Well, it is not the Phoenix's day as he tried to dink it back inside. Riley Hill was there. Yeah, that first round 6-0 thumping at the hands of Magic. I think that just made people feel differently about Lake Macquarie. I know everyone, early season predictions were predicting that Lake Macquarie would finish down the bottom of the ladder, but after they got spanked by Magic 6-0, I think people were going, could be a bad season for the Roosters, but haven't they turned it around?
Yeah, let's not, get too carried away here. I mean, the win last week was against an Adamstown side that hasn't been performing well at all. This today, sure, they've played well, but they're playing against an underperformed Valentine. For me, I think they've been poor.
I think that's a nice way of describing it. Here's
a
keynote.
3 on 2 again.
And now Sam Walker was just overhit. Allows Valentine to track back, but there is still an unmarked Papasporopoulos on the right. He just couldn't get it on target.
Look, if I'm Nick Webb, that's exactly the type of movement that I'm not happy with. You've got a 3 on 2 opportunity there, and you've got, even in the end, a ball that's played in over the back. You take a touch and you make sure it goes home. That's exactly what you do, and it's not happened there. So I wouldn't be happy with that. And Nick Webb is exactly right. He's creating opportunities because they've got to put those away, because that there, it looked a bit lazy and a bit sloppy. And even at 5-1, you don't practice sloppiness. You put the thing away and you get it on target, and I wouldn't be happy with that at all.
And in a pressure situation, how do you know it's not 1-1 at this point? You need that to go into to win a match potentially, or equalise late.
Well, we spoke before about how you get used to scoring goals and you get used to winning, and efforts like that don't carry you there. And that's 3 now in the last 10 minutes that should have gone in.
Jeepers creepers. Might need some ice for you, CT. Really heating up here.
I guess, you know, from a Lakes point of view, if you're Nick Webb, he's looking at the scoreboard thinking it should be 8. And it's not an exaggeration, it's what it should be.
Could be 10, to be honest. Here is a chance for them. Harry Lane sliding through, penalty. Fair enough. Fair enough. And it could be 6 very shortly. You said 8. You know, I think it could have been 10. This goes away. They've had more than enough opportunities, Lake Macquarie, in the second half to really put Valentine out of sight. And Lake Macquarie will make a change. Jesse Parnell will get an opportunity to get some first team action. And Morgan Aquino has been good this afternoon. Hard working, held the ball up well, scored his first NPL goal.
I tell you, Valentine have missed a couple of players, and
here is Sam Walker. Make it 2 for the afternoon. Slots that one away. And it's a 6th for the Roosters. This is a thumping. If it wasn't before, it clearly is now. They've just been way too good for the Phoenix this afternoon.
Valentine FC 1. Also that substitution for the Macquarie City Roosters.
And as we don't have the ability to go back so far with statistics in these particular matches, I would say that this would be one of the biggest derby victories in the history of this clash between Phoenix and Lake Macquarie. We've had an issue with the kickoff, I think, here. Not quite sure what it was because of, but
just looking for an update at Magic Park. All we do know is that it's, or all I don't know at the moment is that Shane Paul was sent off in the 76th minute.
So it could be an interesting finish at Magic Park. So we're in stoppage time here at Macquarie Field. It's been Lake Macquarie from start to finish who have just been too dominant. As the rooster goes off for a 6th time this afternoon. It's been a good afternoon for the local Lake Macquarie Rooster. Gee, they're getting that jazz music.
It's an extended wrapping chook.
They really are rubbing it in. So it is the 90th minute in that match. Broadmeadow Magic leading 1-0 against Charlestown. And Jared Murphy brings Valentine's horror afternoon and Lake Macquarie's special afternoon to an end. It's been a performance to remember for the Roosters. And they go back-to-back for the first time since July last year. And they are now within touching distance of the top 4. That'll depend on whether Broadmeadow win this afternoon. If they do, it'll be just 2 points separating Lake Macquarie and that top 4. The all-important top 4. A really important result for them with the bye next weekend. And for the Phoenix, their winless start to 2018, that will continue. And they will look to turn it around next week at home against Lambton. That is going to be a really tough one for the Phoenix. So, a 6-star performance from Lake Macquarie this afternoon. Full time it finishes at Macquarie Field. Lake Macquarie 6, Valentine Phoenix 1. Chris Turner, a performance to remember for Lakes. But as you said, they should just take a step back and go, good performance, but we need to be consistent and we need to produce this every week. And they've produced it 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, they have, and that's what will be most pleasing for them, is that's actually the case. So, you know, the fact is right now that the good news for them is that they've scored goals in 2 weeks, and they've got to be excited by that.
And we'll get the man of the match up here, Sam Walker, in just a sec. You have gone with Sam Walker, I'd say, CT. Or are you going with Tom?
I've gone with Tom.
You go with Tom. Yeah, let's get Tom up here.
All right, we'll go and grab him.
All right, Tom Walker will be back with us in a second. Aaron Nine-Kuru gets our Harry Snitzel Player of the Day with that bicycle goal for the Phoenix. Superb strike to make it 1-1, but it was all one-way traffic after that point in time. Just check that score at Magic Park. That'd be a big result for Broadmeadow Magic if they were to end Charlestown's dominant start to the season. 4 wins it was for Charlestown up to this point. Shane Paul was sent off, so it's the 92nd minute at the moment. Broadmeadow Magic still leading by a 1-0. Just important as well to note that Intent Recruitment have come on board for the NPL this year on Bar TV. Contact David Franze for professional careers in construction, engineering and mining. Contact Intent Recruitment. All right, CT has got Tom Walker with us up here in the stands.
Where are we going?
We'll just get into position, CT, and then I'll hand over to you.
Yeah, we've got Tom Walker here with us. Tom, just mentioned you got our Sports Click Man of the Match. You sounded a bit surprised, but what we saw was a dominating effort, particularly from the back four. And you know that you and I have had a lot of time together, and in that time, you've been middle or front. How are you feeling it in the back line now?
I'm actually really enjoying it. It's a little bit different. It's just allowing me to sit back and watch it and read it and then just play from there without the pressure of people coming around. So, yeah, it's different. I think it's making a difference with our back line because Cam that was in the centre there, he's also a midfield, so we've got a few ball players back there, which really helps us get forward pretty quick.
Yeah. So you've scored a lot of goals. There's no doubt about that, but the reason, I was discussing this with Bart before, is that with you in that back line, you look very, very comfortable, and you need some experience in there, and you need some direction, and you provided that, and that's where I thought that your dominance in there was set the foundation for the rest of the team.
Yeah, well, I think we've got all the young fellas that are coming through that do all the running and attacking up the front now, so I don't know, as I got old, I lost a bit of pace and just using my ability to read the game, I guess.
How old are you now?
Getting 30.
Okay, he's getting there. Yeah. Anyway, you got our Sports Click Man of the Match. Congratulations, big result, and you've got a bye next week.
Yeah.
And with that, then what's the plan for next weekend?
I think just take it easy. I mean, it's probably not coming at a great time. We're starting to build a bit of momentum, so it would have been good to keep on playing, but I guess we'll just have a rest, look at where we're at, and then come back fresh, ready to go the week after.
Yeah, well, congratulations, great victory, and again, go and enjoy it with the boys.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
All right, CT, well done, Tom. We'll wrap it up from here. Broadmeadow Magic 1-0 winners over Charlestown. Big result for them.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. Broadmeadow, they're in great form today, backing it up after what they'll be disappointed with last week. So yeah, it's a great way for them to bounce back, especially at home, because we know that the Magic faithful would be expecting something better than last week's result.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we've got a big week ahead. The NPL show on Thursday night as well, and next week the Anzac Day match between Broadmeadow Magic and Adamstown. That should be another interesting clash, I'd say. Adamstown have bounced back, and Magic have as well. Well,
bounced back with a draw, and look, to be honest, I watched the last 20 minutes of that match on Bar TV yesterday afternoon, and Lambton Jaffers it must have been so frustrating for Jim Pascoe because they were wave after wave after wave in that last 20, couldn't score. So, look, Lambton won't be happy with that. Adamstown will be buoyed by that performance, so it'll be a good game. All right, we'll leave you with the Lake Macquarie team song. They are blasting it out downstairs. Full time here at Macquarie Field. It was Lake Macquarie 2 strong, winning by 6 goals to 1.